Hi, Sid and extended GitLab leadership team. I'm Carolyn Bednars. I'm a PvP for the field team, and I'm here with
Juliana. I'm a PvP as well, supporting development.
And we are here to specifically ask you for feedback on two components of the performance management process that we are looking at implementing here in November. So we are specifically looking for all of your feedback on how we measure performance here at GitLab, our recommendation on that, including the descriptions of how we're looking at differentiating between the performance levels, as well as how we're thinking about communication in the process. So as you can see, we have shared the handbook page where we have all of our updates. For the performance factor, we as a group have decided to structure performance as 60% of your job description responsibilities and 40% competencies. Those competencies include values competencies, remote working competencies, and if applicable, they do include any functional competencies that groups have developed. To align with the e-group team, we are using the same performance factors, developing, performing, and exceeding. However, for this first iteration, we are just using values and results as compared to some of the other factors that the e-group team uses, because those won't really necessarily apply to everyone at the company. We can look to change this for future iterations. So we'd specifically like your feedback on how we define and differentiate between these performance factors. And Juliana will talk a little bit more about what we're thinking from a communication perspective.
Yeah, so the performance potential matrix is typically used as a management tool, as you all know, and results aren't traditionally shared. But in the spirit of our transparency value, we'd like to share at least a portion of this for the first iteration, just to make sure we're being transparent about improvement areas that team members have. So we're proposing that we do communicate discussion points from calibration sessions directly with each individual, in addition to the performance access results. So the performance access or the performance factor will be incorporated into compensation. So we want to make sure we're sharing with team members sort of discussion points that led into that and where they fall in terms of developing, performing, and exceeding. And the reasoning for this is we want to make sure that it doesn't come as a surprise. This information shouldn't come as a surprise to team members. Career development should be ongoing conversations with managers. And it provides an opportunity for team members to provide input on their own performance as well, and serves as a platform that hopefully can lead into a development plan. And we're recommending that we don't communicate box-specific placement within the matrix or potential access results. And the reason for this is that we want to move away from the box and focus rather on actionable items for development. The box is just a manager tool to sort of think through the process, but it shouldn't be the end result and the end focus. And we want to stay iterative. So we focused on the talent assessment rollout this year versus waiting for a future iteration when we have maybe more guidelines and criteria in place. But as a result of that, we've prioritized the development of the performance axis as opposed to the potential axis. So we want to make sure our guidelines are really clear before we communicate potential. And lastly, we want to allow an opportunity to provide feedback on the matrix process and the talent assessment review process in and of itself before we decide whether this is the right tool to move forward. So thanks so much for taking the time to listen. We look forward to your feedback, and we'll also share a link to the talent assessment tool that our people operations full stack engineer Lean has been developing, and a link to a few key issues with additional detail on the process and where we are and timeline.